How's the Teisho so far?
The best.
No matter how good a thing might be to be said, better to remain silent. It said that Shakyamuni Buddha woke up under a tree when a beautiful young maiden brought him some milk or fruit or something from, because he was very hungry. And he realized that he had to keep his mouth shut. So he managed that, they say, for 2 weeks. And then he opened his mouth and golden words flowed forward. And there's been nothing but turmoil and crisis in the world ever since. Do you understand? To understand, you must stand under. Overstanding doesn't solve the problem. Understanding does. So Halabomon's Manda Zen is dumping the bathwater and keeping the baby. Religiosity. Nonsense. They did not lie. So again, my apologies for interrupting your practice and robbing you. My apologies. So this is a fundamental Buddhist school, very simple, going back to the origins, not the religiosity, but the origins. And practice begins with correct understanding or correct view, whatever term you want to say. It doesn't begin with all of this nonsense. Get your foundation built philosophically, intellectually, emotionally. See the truth, go deeper. So it begins with the story of 3 fundamental marks of existence need to be understood so that your practice can be understood. So that you don't slow yourself down with all kinds of nonsense in the way. So the first mark is impermanence. Impermanence, nothing less. Buddha said, it's all burning. It's all burning. Hot and cold. Nothing lasts. What can you cling to? The second truth, dissatisfaction, suffering. How do you understand your dissatisfaction and your suffering? And finally, no self, no atma. No self, no self. Wouldn't that be divine? So when I try to explain things to people, it gets a little difficult because they say they're afraid of dying. And I'm confused because when you're dead, you're not there anymore. Where do you understand? I don't understand death from that perspective. I understand life and the intermingling of awareness and sentience and creation through a Homo sapien of an aware being. I've got that. But when that all disintegrates and dissolves and all the particles go away and the whole structure is gone, I'm gone at last. Gate, parasamgate, police. And I'm dying. I'm 78 years old, and I didn't know it would be this difficult. I didn't know it would be, I thought it would be like something easy. And the trouble is my brain is disintegrating. Right? And when the brain disintegrates, it's wonderful because you get the absolute truth of that reality of disintegration into emptiness. Right? But memory, all of these important things are floating away. So deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the heart. Deeper and deeper into the heart. We say Zen is the marriage of wisdom and compassion, not idiot compassion. It's like people say they fall down and they fall in love. You don't fall in love, you stand up in love. I fell in love. Well, get up. So I think it was in 19, I don't remember what year it was. Anyway, I was at with the Dalai Lama, this place in India, with I call it the first Buddhist teachers whiners convention, and the Tibetan teachers and young students that came, and some Zen people came, and we sat, and the big question was, how is it that teachers can be such great teachers and still be cruel, right? Or be selfish, or do things that don't make sense considering who they're representing. And so it was brought up because of a problem with certain teachers in the Tibetan tradition. And the question was, how is it that he could abuse his students and waste money and demand bizarre behaviors and things? And the Dalai Lama smiled and he said, oh, his insight wasn't deep enough. And I said to myself, what? So I raised my hand and I said, could I be candid, Your Holiness? And he said, yes, please. And I said, he sat three-year cave sittings. He's a geshe, which means he's a PhD in Buddhist thought and training. He studied with you for 8 years, right? And that's bullshit. And he said to me, he laughed and we all laughed because he's got a great sense of humor. And he said, I know you feel that way, my son. You know why? I said, why? He said, because your insight's not deep enough. And I said, oh, thank you, Your Holiness. I now know why they call him Your Holiness. But that was just the great gift, the great gift, the great gift. So along the path, along the way, so that took into heart. And that's also a major reason that the Mando has come into being. It's these experiences, moments along the path, along the way. So the Mando Zen, Holoborn Zen, is for the 20th century American culture. How do we keep the deep truth, the teaching, and get rid of all the silliness, right? Like I'm wearing a different costume now. We're wearing Chinese, Japanese robes from whenever and dresses, and they don't fit and they fall off, and there's this just, you know, you got a piece of cloth you're bowing on. It's like, right? From one perspective, it's like you sit back and go, what the hell's going on here? Well, we're a cult, a friendly cult, a good cult. We're all cultists. Did you know that? What is your cult? Are you part of the New World Religion? Imperial capitalism? Did you vote for Biden? Left, right, left, right. Imperial capitalism seems to be going on quite well. The religion and the government of the day. So Zen is how the Japanese say Chan. And Chan is how the Chinese say Dian. And our meditation practice comes out of deep, deep Indian culture and history, maybe 6,000 years ago. I spent a bit of time studying yoga, pranayama. My favorite teacher was B.K.S. Iyengar and then Batavi Joyce. And in the yogic tradition, they explain the path. It's an 8-step path. You notice Buddhism has 8 steps. Well, yoga has 8 steps. And the first process in yoga is to discipline the body so the body becomes quite, like sitting in full lotus is magnificent beyond belief. My body's all broken up. I can't do that anymore. Boo, boo, boo. So I have to work with what I've got. So you discipline the body. And then you study the breath. Hour after hour, relentless breathing. Breathing patterns. Vastrika, Kapalabhati. You can get, you want to get high? And then we finally come to meditation. Right? And meditation has the 3 phases. The first is mantra. Now, mantra is not religiosity in its foundational perspective. Mantra is mind tuning or mind direction. And then they put mantra, put some spiritual popcorn or something on it. Right? But we're tuning the mind. And so we're tuning the mind and directing the mind with its focus inward, deeper and deeper into consciousness. So the breath. And then the concentration practice. We add a mantra to it, koan, right? You could say a mantra is a koan is a mantra. So, but what is the reason and the function of that? So, like I say, we do the no koan. Moo, does a dog have Buddha nature? You want to answer? Who wants to answer? Does a dog have Buddha nature?
No.
What? Ask me. Somebody.
Does a dog have Buddha nature?
Arf, arf, arf. Woof, 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 woof. I was walking down the street one day in San Francisco, where I used to like to party in the 60s. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd been up having a good time. Was heading home. I was walking down the street, down in what's the name of the district? With a party town anyway. And walking towards me was a dog. Right? And we were coming along. He's coming right to me, I'm coming right to him. He looks at me, and he stops, and he goes, so what do? I stop and I go. And he goes, woof, woof, woof. And I went, woof, woof, woof. And we had this conversation, right? One of us is going to go straight. The other's going to have to get out of the way. Right? So he goes, woof, woof, woof. I went, woof, woof, woof. And then our minds melt, right? The dog is Buddha nature. I am Buddha nature, in case you're wondering what Buddha nature is. But it's not experienced from a particular perspective. It's a deeper perspective. And so what I did is got the hell out of the way, because that dog had teeth this big, and I look at these incisors, no competition. I might have been able to kick his ass, but I'd have got shredded. Time to use some discernment. I stepped aside. He came, he stopped for a second, and went. It happened again, mountain climbing in Switzerland. I was just out training, running the trails, 10,000 feet, 12,000 feet. And I came to this area with a cliff that was shot down the side of the mountain, at least 500 feet. It was all gravel, stone, but it was this beautiful path about 24 inches wide. Right? And I'm coming around. I had no idea that these things even existed. But have you seen one of those pictures of a goat? Their horns are like 5, 6 feet long, and they weigh not much, maybe 140, 50 pounds or something, right? And I'm coming around, and he's coming from the other direction. Wow. So I got to stop. Now we got a problem. Here is this enormous creature. Right? I'm looking at him. He's looking at me, or she's looking at me. I can't tell from here. But which is which? I still don't know if it was a girl or a boy. Didn't matter. And so he stops, or she stops, and I stop. And he's waiting for me to get out of the way. She's waiting for me to get out of the way. I can't get out of the way. If I go on that gravel, I might slide down and die. So he goes, starts to twist the horns a little bit, scuffle a bit. I said, hey, take it easy, Okay, we'll work this out. I can't go, I can't do it. And then we had the mind meld again. It was like, whoa. And I think it was a she now. She smiled. And then gave me this look like worthless. You're worthless, right? And she did it like a 3-hopper. Boom, boom, boom. It came up 20 feet away up the side of the mountain in the gravel, looking down at me. And let me go past. And she popped down on him. And we went our separate ways. Does a dog have Buddha nature? Does a mountain goat have Buddha nature? You're damn right. So when? Shut up. Shut up. I hope I'm remembered for my Stefu koan or mantra. You feeling bad, you feeling lousy? Stefu. Just shut up. Open your heart. Go deeper into your being. Existence is here. With 100 quadrillion million sentiences, little sparkling lights. Go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. This heart can never be broken. And when we're gone, you're gone beyond time. I loved it when I heard the first time that in science they said before the Big Bang, there's nothing except pure potentiality. And that's when I was struck with the truth of shunyata. Wow, nothing except potentiality. Potentiality is not an existent thing. I can't use a dual mind to understand it, but I can taste it in a strange way. Good and bad make no sense. Boo hoo hoo, ha ha ha, boo hoo hoo, ha ha ha, boo hoo hoo, ha. Barking. Come here, go away. Come here, go away. Same shit. You understand? Oh, so it's not, can I tell another story? It's okay. So I'm sitting in Rutakaji, Rohatsu. Like I say, the first 108 sessions were the best. I counted for 108, then I just gave up counting. But so I'm over there for the first time. Ada, Roshi, and I show up, right? And it's cold, Japan. It was suddenly the temperature dropped really low, and it was snowing. Oh, first of all, when I show up, this is great. A gaijin is that translation for gaijin is like dog, isn't it? And oh, so I show up, and you know where they put me to sleep? Okay, they live in the zendo, and their beds are underneath the tatami, right? It's a drawer you pull out, and they go to bed, and they sleep. They live in there, so it's their house. So you know where they put me? There were guest rooms, right? They put me in the closet with a couple of futons, you know, and it was full of buckets, and it was small, this tiny little closet, and they were testing me, right? See if I got the joke, and so I opened up and I said, "Oh, this is great! It's small and cozy. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." Right? So they put me in there, and so Satsashin, and it's cold, and the snow is falling, and the wind is blowing, right? And how much of your heat goes out of the top of your head? 60% or something. So I'm wrapped up, and I'm actually wearing a sheepskin. That somebody gave me this thin sheepskin coat because I lucked out. I was wearing that, and you know what this is? The encouragement stick. This isn't to be used to punish someone. The slap is really nice to awaken, and now I'm going to teach people how to carry the stick. It isn't brutality, it's encouragement. So what happens is the doors are open, right? And the wind is blowing through and the snow is blowing through. And I'm sitting there and I'm warm everywhere except my head. I start to shiver. And now they carry the stick. We have little short sticks. They're 3 feet. They're about 6 feet, 5 feet at least, right? And we make you ask for a spanking, and we make you look at the person's eyes and see if they're the right one. And afterward, you think we have a little communication here going on. Now in Japan, they walk out at the stick. And I'm shaking, and he looks at me like, Gaijin. I go, oh. He steps back and goes, fuck. Fuck. I've got cushioning this one. And he goes, steps back, bam, 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 bam. And he just looks at me and walked away. So after that session, it was a beautiful session. We went to another temple where this Roshi abbot was giving a talk, and I show up, Data Roshi, sitting, and there were a few of us, of the students with Teisho at that time, and we all went to the talk. So we sat there, and what happened is he comes out, and he's well fed. He's quite a chubby master, and comes out, and you know the platform that I sit on, or the teacher sits on when he gives a Teisho. If you go to Japan, they kept making them higher, right? Because your guy had to be higher than their guys, right? And they're ancient, so they got this structure that was about 8 feet tall, right? A little platform on top and stuff up there, and you're made out of trees, branches, and things. Beautiful ladder. And I look at him and I go, oh, is he going to climb this thing? So he's going to fall over. When he gets to the top, he does some miraculous qigong or some flip movement. Aikido, he goes, flips, and he does a complete somersault and lands on his feet perfectly. And I went, wow, who is this guy? Right? And so then he starts to give his talk, and we're sitting like, I'm not going to do this. I'm in the middle, not move, sit, listen. So I don't speak Japanese, right? And I'm looking over there, and as soon as he just opens his mouth, the 16, 18 monks that were lined up all fall asleep. Every damn one of them. It just, and then he goes on giving his talk, rings the bell at the end, I come like this again, they all march out. So afterward I said, hey, Roshi, what was that? And he said, it's a chance for It's a chance that you get some rest. He said, they heard everything he's had to say 10 times. And that's permissible and has been for hundreds of years.
What a great time to wake everybody up, you know? And just wanted to let you know that time is, if there were time, I would mention it.
Okay. So one last little story before we take a break, and then we're going to come back and play a different game. So Ada Roshi and I went to Japan. Okay. So when I went to Daibasatsu, I needed to be trained. I needed some deeper training, and couldn't decide where to get it. So I asked Roshi, I said, I need to train more. I need to get educated. I want to go to New York University. I'm going to close my Zen yoga place in California, and I will be an Inji, right? And anytime you give a speech or anything, Teisho, I'll be right there at your side. I'll sit every session with you. And could I do that? And he said, well, there's something that you could do that's much more important. I said, what's that? He said, would you come to Daibasatsu Zendo and be the head monk? And I said, I've been in federal prison. I'd rather go back to federal prison than that shithole of a monastery you've got up there. And he laughed and he said, what would make you come? I said, are you serious? You want me to do formalized training, you know, and be the head monk? He said, yes. And I said, okay, a yoga program, which they still do at Daibasatsu, right? Psych department. So the people that shouldn't be here get some treatment, and fully organic kitchen, which we pretty much had, and an outreach program for the locals. And he said, would I have to do any of that? I said, no. He said, please come, you're in. He studied yoga with me for a couple of years, did very well. So for some reason, we're invited to have dinner with Bishop Tanaka, I think it was. We're in a school. We show up at this in a palace, not a palace, it was a beautiful estate, big wall around it. And we're driven up in limousines, right? And the limousine pulls up, gate opens up, and out come geishas. This is mind-blowing. Little fan, big shoes. Each of us has a geisha. They take us in. They take us into this room. It's just this exquisite room. It's just tatamis, little beds, and it's cushioned, it's scroll, incense burning. We sat there about 10 minutes, and the door comes open, and they bring us tea. And then upstairs we go, and we sit down. Then the dishes are from 300 years ago. And the menu is kaiseki, which is vegetarian, but you can't tell that because the tastes are just off planet. And they look like things. They look like little fish and things. We had a 38-course meal. And sake was permitted. So during the meal, we're eating and everything, and I've got my interpreter, and I'm sitting there having such a great time, and everybody's laughing, carrying on. And suddenly, Tanaka says to me, excuse me, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. She said, why is a gaijin like you, why is a little dog like you studying with this weird little Jap guy? I don't get it. How's that? Why are you studying with him and not somebody else? I said, oh, I've had a bunch of teachers. I said, You know why? He said, why? I said, because he's always in the corner of the zendo, sitting. And he laughed so hard he spit sake across the table at me. He said, don't you know why? Because he needs to. If he was enlightened, would he be wasting his time sitting in a corner? And Edo Roshi just pissed his pants laughing, and so did I and everybody else, right? But there again was just a tremendous opening in my heart. Each of these characters along the way, priceless. And then the second year that I was back at the monastery, went back, beginning of the second year, he asked me to become, to run the place. He said, I have to take a year off. I have to go home. I went back to Japan for a year. So I said, okay, do not call me. Do not interfere in any way. I know you have your spies, but do not disturb this for 1 year. Right? It'll be better when you come back than it was before you left. I promise you that. And that's what brought us to this trip. 10.5 months, I get a call from him. Jumbo. Oh, Roshi, are you right? Oh my goodness, is something wrong? It's only 10.5 months. He goes, oh yes, well, I wanted to invite you to come to Japan. Oh, okay, thank you. So then I went to Japan and we did an incredible journey through Japan together as my reward for liberating him for a year. All right, that's it for now. 10-minute break. Don't break anything.